15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Talking, from the live podcast produced by Indy Radio, where we break down the mystery, the terror, and the twists of the hit TV series. Hosted by Jen and Kinte, this is the show where we review every shocking moment, every haunting question, and every chilling clue. And from strangers find themselves trapped in a mysterious town they cannot leave, forced to survive against deadly creatures that come out at night, while uncovering the dark secrets hidden all around them. You can watch from on MGM Plus. Get ready for live reactions, deep discussion, bold theories, and real talk about one of television's most unsettling shows. And now, here are your hosts, Jen and Kinte.
Welcome, everyone. That was a great, solid intro, by the way. Very, very good. Welcome to Talking From. If we are to believe anything that has happened in Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3, it's that Season 4 will be just as crazy, just as wild, and probably leave us with a billion more questions than we walked into it with. I'm your host, Jen. I am accompanied by Kinte. Kinte, how are you today?
I am doing great. I am so happy to be on the air and talking some From. You know, the funny thing, the title of the show is always like a tongue twister in a way.
It's true.
You know, because when someone asks you like, "Oh, so what show are you covering?" It's From. Yeah, from who?
From what?
Yeah, from what? You know, and I'm like, that's the name of the show, From. Even in the intro, I had to rejigger it a couple times because it sounded like it's saying from what the next line was. So I had to, do that. So, but yeah, great title, by the way.
I always start with the TV series From, because otherwise nobody knows what the heck I'm talking about.
Right.
Speaking of that, ever since Amazon purchased MGM, they have really been pushing From on their front page, hey, watch this. It's going to be good. You should watch it. Anybody who has Amazon Prime has seen at least one or two suggestions from Amazon saying, hey, you should really watch this show. And
is it a Amazon Prime show now?
No, it's not an Amazon Prime show. In fact, the only way to watch Season 4 is to grab MGM Plus. So we still have that. But Amazon did purchase MGM. So they have I think they've got Season 1 and Season 2 at least over on Prime.
Who did they purchase it from? No, I'm just
Yeah. Well, never mind. We won't get into that. Okay. So I got to do a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, Season 5 has been officially greenlit. We know that we are walking into the premiere tomorrow of Season 4. So good news for everybody. They are really excited that they are going to be allowed to tell the story in its completion, and nobody's worried about, is this going to get picked up again? It absolutely was picked up even before today. I mean, definitely before today. There was a little press release that went out with that. I won't read it, but it is available. And the other thing that I just want to say personally is, guys, I'm really sorry. I have come up with some of the craziest, wackiest theories about this TV show, and 0 out of 0 of them have been correct. I I don't know how I could get a worse track record. I am thinking that this is really the excellence in storytelling, that there is just no possible way to puzzle box this out. You can't figure it out because it's just too deep. But also, I have some new theories this season, so we'll get into that and see what's going on. I would love to start with just sort of a quick overview or recap, if you will, of some of the things that you, Kinte, thought were really memorable from season 1, 2, and 3.
Well, obviously we got to start off with the whole setup, which is interesting because when you first watch the show, you think that the family is like the leads of the show, but they're really not. It's definitely Boyd is the lead, I would say, but it's an ensemble show for sure. And but you do care about what's going on with them, especially the mom and the boy more so than I'm sorry, the names are
If you want, just so that we can get it out of the way,
okay.
let me give you a quick overview. I'm just going to run down everybody
Sure,
so that
sure.
we've got everybody in place. Okay, so Boyd Stevens is our sheriff.
Right.
Tabitha Matthews, Jim Matthews,
family, yeah.
right? We've got Ethan, and then we've got Julie. We've got Donna, who is the leader at Colony House. We've got Jade, who we now know as of season 3. And by the way, there's spoilers for season 1, 2, and 3 in this podcast. We've got Jade, who we now know is actually the reincarnation and husband of Tabitha. We have Victor, the person who is the longest lived in town. We've got Kenny, who is deputy / everybody's moral support person. We have Fatima, who is Ellis's significant other, and Ellis is Boyd's son. We have Sarah still hanging around, even though she tried to kill everybody. I got a theory about that, by the way. We have Christy, who is our resident paramedic studying in medical school and didn't quite get there, but thank goodness she's there. We have Sophia, who is new, and we'll get into her character in a second. We've got Henry, who is Victor's dad. We've got Elgin, who is sort of a little bit of some kind of, not prophet, but he's some kind of seer. I don't know. There's something weird about him. We have Mariella. We have Bacta. We have Randall. And we have Danny Acosta. And remember, Danny is the sheriff, the real law enforcement person that shows up. Because remember, Boyd is actually ex-military. He doesn't actually have a law, whatever. Anyway, all that stuff. So, okay, so that's everybody. So just to kind of refresh your memory, those are the people that we've got so far.
Yes.
So I'm sorry. So go ahead, finish your thought.
No, just saying the Matthew family, Tabitha and their son, they're kind of the ones you care mostly about of the Matthews, at least for me. But I kind of feel like the fan base as well. And then I think one of the big moments, and I kind of think I hated it more that I think about it, is when Father Khatri died.
Oh yes,
that because I liked his character so much, and I think it was kind of a mistake. I don't know, I mean, he's still on the show in a way, but I just really liked his character, and I felt like he gave something that other characters didn't, and he's definitely missed. So that was one of the big moments when the guy he thought he was having a relationship with one of the monsters, the girl. And then he let him in. I believe that was season 2 finale or season 1 finale. Season 1 finale, and then got everybody killed in there. That was a big moment. I think one of the best episodes to me, just of all the episodes was the season 3 premiere. That episode was probably one of the best written ones, where there's no filler. Every moment is important, and you know what I'm saying? And then it ends so tragically. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
episode, I remember telling you, I said this is the best episode that I had seen so far. And it's arguably, I think it might be the best episode for me, for my money. I think it might be the best complete episode. Does it have the most like information in it? No, there's others, where you learn more, but I don't know. I just felt like that episode I thought it was perfect. I thought it was the closest to a perfect episode was that season 3 premiere. So I'm hoping season 4 premiere, fingers crossed, do they do it again, but and Elgin, and also Elgin, the torture of Elgin.
Oh God, that was awful.
Yeah, which is brutal. I mean, you can argue that he deserved it, but then it's just so brutal. And then, obviously with the deaths, the different deaths that we've experienced on the show, especially in season 3 finale, the big huge death. So yeah, there's so many great moments on the show, and I'm so looking forward to this season and the next season. Can I ask you a question before we go forward?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like it's going to be one of those things where we get all the answers that we want when it's all said and done? Or do you think it's going to be one of those scenarios where they give you a lot, but there's still some lingering questions that probably will go unanswered? I kind of feel like that's going to happen. I have a feeling that there's still going to be things that we may never get. I don't know. What about you? And would you be okay if that's the case?
Okay, based on just to give everybody kind of a not a recap, but just to give everybody where I'm at with all of this. I went and rewatched the entire series again. I've already seen the entire series probably 3 times, but I went to go watch it again simply because I knew we were going to podcast. I knew we had sort of the season 4 premiere. I wanted everything fresh in my mind. And that's why I said none of my theories have been correct, because I went back and looked at my notes and I was like, what was I think? What was I on drugs? That's crazy. But this is the reason that I think we're not going to get all the answers. The reason I think we're not going to get all the answers is because of the way that the story is being told. And I guess I'm going to preface this by saying I had kind of an epiphany where I realized after watching the entire season again that, okay, first of all, we've got characters that are story walking, right? And when I say story walking, I mean they're walking through other stories. They are not necessarily just walking through the main story. They are walking through alternate stories or adjacent stories. And I started thinking, how does this sort of play? What is it about this that, one, seems familiar, but 2, feels so alien? And I came up with a kind of Lovecraft Eldritch idea, right? And the Lovecraft Eldritch idea, I think personally, all comes down to the spiders. And the reason I think that that's what's happening is because there are some amazing stories where the spider, which plays heavily, by the way, in the drawings that Victor has, and then in some really sneaky ways that we saw. I mean, we saw Abby in the spider webs. We saw Boyd get bit by the spiders. We saw a bunch of things sort of lead me to think that this is actually that. Now, the reason that the storytelling, I think, is going to be fractured and difficult to kind of get a handle on by the end is because we're dealing with a story web. I mean, like in almost the literal sense, not just a metaphoric sense. And the story web it's being told and retold, much like a fly flies into a spider web and then it gets removed and then new web is put down. That's new story. And each time they find something out, remember what the big catchphrase is for this season, knowledge has price, right? It's there's a reckoning coming, and we know that because the end of season 3 ended dramatically with the man in yellow, who none of us really know exactly who he is. But if you look at the promo material for season 4, Boyd is standing eclipsed by the man in yellow, right? That seems purposeful. And so once again, going back to, are we going to get lots of answers? We'll get lots of answers by the time that season 5 is done. Will we get the answers that we want? I think it's going to highly depend on what you walk into this with. It definitely isn't going to be everything is neatly tied with a bow, because that's not how Eldritch or Lovecraft stories end anyway. It's like a huge amount of lore attached to them. In the same way that when you play Dungeons and Dragons, which is basically sort of the same idea here, you're on a quest, you wrap up the quest, but you don't actually wrap up the story. The story still exists. Baldur's Gate is still out there. The Sword Coast is still out there. I mean, you don't have control over the wider narrative. You just have control over your one quest. And that's where I think things are going to come to a conclusion. It's this quest is going to end. And we keep seeing that. We get tons and tons of information across the narrative about being on a quest, the story, being a story walker. You know, Victor telling Ethan that this is what he has to watch out for because he's going to be the next person to remember everything. Those kinds of things. So I feel like the show is going to end one of two ways. It's either going to end with some enormous crescendo and bang, like, oh my God, it just blows everybody's mind. And I mean, like, there's a couple of ways that could happen. Or the town is going to reset itself, and Ethan or somebody else is going to be left the same way that Victor was left. So either the town is going to completely reset and we're going to see, oh, here we are back at the very beginning. The cycle starts again, even though they've gotten lots of answers up until now. Or it's going to end with a mind-shattering revelation that basically puts whatever this is in context with a, Cthulhu story or something of that broad, huge amount of lore attached to it. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense, yes. And just as a side note, it's actually, the episode is available right now on
nice,
on Prime. So
see, I'm in Hawaii, and so my stuff doesn't reset as fast as your stuff. So we'll see if it's actually available for me. Who knows?
All
right.
The one bad thing about living in Hawaii.
The one downside to paradise. Yeah. Right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about where we think things might be headed for our major characters. Of all the people who I am the most afraid for this season, Boyd is the one that I think is going to, something bad's going to happen to Boyd. I don't think he's going to die, but I think something truly horrific. And obviously he's already been through a lot of horrific stuff. So for it to be this level, like, he's either in line for some kind of transformation or something along those lines this season. What do you think?
Yeah, I just don't see this. I just don't see this ending nicely for him. To be honest with you, I don't know that it's going to end nicely for anyone. I don't think this is a story where, how, like, if someone's in prison on a TV show or a movie, the
Hmm.
whole goal is like, for the audience is this person to get out, right?
Right.
Or if they're stuck on the island, their whole thing is to get off the island, yada yada yada. I think a lot of people are watching this show hoping that they'll find a way home. But the truth is, I don't believe it's going down like that. And I think a lot of people will be disappointed. But it is what it is. But I feel like Boyd is probably going to have the probably one of the worst outcomes of everyone.
I think so too.
I think it's already setting him up to be like a sacrificial type person.
I
And
think that was the point of bringing Acosta into the story,
right.
because she can now sort of assume the mantle of Boyd's job.
But I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna carry on to the end of the show. But
I do too.
I just don't think he's gonna. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna end with him clicking his heels and being back.
No, I actually think that there's been some interesting ideas out there that sort of point to Boyd. Perhaps there's, because of the way that the monsters treat him,
Mm-hmm.
that they sort of see him as one of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And why? There's just too much that sort of, they don't give, the creatures don't give anybody else that consideration. So it feels very purposeful in this moment.
Can I ask you a question? How aware are the creatures of what's going on? The overall thing. Are they just like, the term NPC?
Mm-hmm.
Are they like NPCs in this game? Are they aware of what's going on? Or are they, are they just like I said, NPCs? Like they're just kind of part, things that are put on the board to make certain outcomes happen.
I sort of think you're maybe on to, they are pawns a little bit more than they are powerful mechanisms by which to generate their own story. And part of the reason that I think that is because, remember when Fatima had the baby and basically it turned into Smiley, right?
Right.
Who we know Boyd killed with the "my blood is your blood, transfer the worms." And that kind of makes me think that the creatures are kind of just like avatars,
Right.
And that's also why they don't run. They don't run after people. They just walk. They're not very they're dead set. That's not really a great language. They are very fixed on scaring people. They are very fixed on making everything as terrible as possible, but they don't actively chase people. They don't, if you watch how they walk, they are just like moseying on down for what, like they've got all the
clearly
time
they
in the
went
world.
to the Jason and Michael Myers school of being movie TV bad guys.
They were super good studies of that, let me tell you, like really good. Yeah. But it doesn't
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
In the first season, those things were frightening, and you felt like if you were stuck out there, if someone's stuck out there, they're gonna definitely die. As the show's gone on and people have survived being out there and stuff, do you feel like they're as frightening as they were in the first season? I don't feel like they're frightening, but they're not as frightening, just because at first you felt like the way it made you feel like in the beginning was like there was no way of survival if you were out there. And now you kind of feel like, well, if you zig and zag, you could, and then you find out that people survived, before they found the talisman. So, I mean, are they as frightening to you as they were in the beginning?
So I think one of the reasons that the creatures don't like just attack everybody is because there's a ratio, there's a balance in the town. I don't understand what that is. I don't quite get what that means. Something mathematical, something, I don't know. But it definitely seems like there is a constant ratio that they are trying to keep. So on the night when the bus came in, they were actively looking for new blood, if you will.
Yeah.
When they, but, and then the same thing happened at Colony House, right? I mean, like there
Right.
was a huge slaughter, but then there's this huge slaughter, and then very soon after that comes the bus full of people. Like it's a little bit it's a little odd the way the creatures behave, because sometimes they are very purposeful. I will say one thing. Okay, the creatures definitely have it out for kids.
Right.
I don't know whether it's the kids are like, you know, the beacon or the standard of hope, or whether the kids represent something to them, or I don't quite understand where that's going, but it is really obvious that anybody who cares about kids doesn't want one of those things anywhere near their kid. Everybody else, though, is it's kind of hit and miss. It's like, okay, maybe, and maybe not. But we also know that it is very random the way that they target people, except Boyd, of course. But I would also just like to point out and remember that
But
Randall,
are you as scared of them
after what they did to Randall, yes.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, they were all standing around, and,
Right.
and they had, like, Randall's face was like falling off of his head practically. I mean, it looked terrible. And
I don't know. I don't have the same level of fear.
do you think that that's simply because at this point in the story we are a little bit desensitized
I
to?
think so. I
Yeah.
think so. And I remember
That's fair.
when
I
that
think
guy in
that's
the
fair.
box, and
Mhm.
you know, for his punishment for, you know, what he
Mhm.
did. That shit was so frightening. You know, like, oh my God, like that seems so cruel, you know, that, you know, and it just the sense of hopelessness. Do you think I'm gonna ask another question? Do you think that, like, to me, there's a sense of hopelessness with this show, like
Mhm.
it's not gonna end well, right? We just talked about it.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? Like this, like we don't think it's gonna be a happy ending, right? You know, so does that make it sadder to you as you're watching? It's like, are we just watching their demise?
Um, I don't know if we are watching their demise as much as we are watching. We are watching. This is going to sound weird, so bear with me for a
Okay.
second. But if you were living in the time of, let's say, something truly biblical that happened,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sure. I don't know if you would. Well, okay, wait. Maybe use something maybe a little bit less than that, because that's the. I mean, there's pretty, you know, that's cause and effect.
Moses. The Exodus.
Okay, yeah. There's a point at which, especially if you were like really far back, and somebody said, "Oh, this guy just parted the seas," and you were like, "Wait a minute, that doesn't." Really? Or maybe we're just walking across a shallow part. I mean, like, I think the point is, like, you don't recognize the true insanity of living a story until after the story is told. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening here, right? There is something, clearly there is something insidious happening, but it's happening to them not at their peril. It's happening to them because, in some ways, and God, I really hate using this word, but in some ways it's like this is their fate. There is something that connects every single person in this town.
Right.
Whether we can see it or not, they are connected. And each time a revelation manifests itself, something really bad happens. Tabitha goes to the quote unquote outside world, right? She goes to Maine.
Right.
You know, I don't know. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. But she gains knowledge. And the fact that she gains knowledge and then Kenny's mom dies in such a horrific way in the barn is sort of, it was awful. And it makes me think like, okay, and then in the season finale for 3, they figure out a bunch of stuff. They do the cipher, they play the music, they have this, really major moment of, oh my god, I know what's going on, I know what the word Onkui means, I get it. And Jim dies.
Right.
Because knowledge equals loss. Something happens every time they gain knowledge, something bad happens. So again, I'm going to go back to the question, which is, are we watching just their demise, and does that make it sad? I don't think it actually makes it. I mean, obviously we don't want to lose the characters, but does it actually make it sad, or does it make it, yeah, no, wait, maybe Abby was onto something. Everybody needs to figure this out. Abby's way was kill everybody. That was the way to make everybody figure it out. But maybe there is a way for everybody to figure it out all at once with the same exact belief, and that's what breaks it. I mean, if, and this is a huge if, like this is an if the size of the Empire State Building, if what I think might be happening with this being a little bit more like there is something eldritchy or Lovecraftian happening here, then all of this would actually make sense, because the price of defying the gods in a way is enormous. It's massive. And just by way of sort of, breaking the ice for season 4, I don't think it's a mistake that we now have a pastor's daughter who shows up. This feels very purposeful. We don't have Father Kotri anymore, but we need that spiritual manifestation to take a hold. And I think that was very purposeful. What do you think? Did I lose you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. I didn't realize I was muted. No, I agree with you. And that was very well said, by the way. I do feel like that everything's connected. I mean, it is still kind of sad to me though, but just because I don't see I know, but I guess everything doesn't have to be, remember the show Downton Abbey? How
Yes.
that show ended. Everything happened like so wonderfully. I mean, the ending was so, everybody got what they wanted, and it was so,
Yes.
but it worked for that show. This ain't Downton Abbey.
Well, just sort of as a guideline, right? Horror, and we know that this is horror. I mean, it's
Right.
great character study, but it's definitely horror. Horror is not supposed to, by genre definition, necessarily have a happy ending.
Right.
I mean, it's really supposed to be like, dark
Well,
and foreboding.
The final girl gets away.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there can't be some resolution, but I'm just saying that like the ending is never the happy ending. It's the final girl doesn't run away and become the princess and everything is fine. No, she probably lives with PTSD for the rest of her life and is looking over her shoulder because she's afraid somebody with a machete is going to get her.
Right.
It's a sense of foreboding that I think is supposed to belong. And also, you can't watch a show like From and expect that everything is going to tie together, because we know on a number of different occasions that we have gotten red herrings. And again, I don't think these red herrings were just like the writers decided, oh, you know what, I didn't use this note card, let's see if we can fit this in somewhere. I think the red herrings are actually coming from the town or whatever is governing the town. And it's a way to keep them off track. Knowledge is dangerous. You cannot know what's going on. That feels to me very organic and purposeful.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. One thing that I know that we have talked about, but I really want to see what happens in season 4 is Everybody seems like they are on the verge of losing their sanity. Oh, I have one more thing to say about that, but um, everybody seems like they're on the verge of losing their sanity, right?
Mhm.
There's a when stories ramp up, this show didn't just ramp up. It just went from like, okay, we were already in suspense and then we like hit the throttle to jet speed. And there's so much information to take in season 3. Like, what about the scarecrow? What the heck was the scarecrow and the talisman thing? That,
Right.
I mean, like, that is crazy. But my feeling is that a lot of this stuff doesn't have an answer as much as it has a place in the story. Like, if you think about it, everything in From is sort of consolidated to tell the story. The people inside the town are telling one story. The people who are in, like, the creatures themselves, they're sort of telling another story, pawns, but they are telling another story. And then of course we have the man in yellow, who, oh my gosh, if you look at some of the scenes where I think that there's one where Tabitha and Jim are talking, the man in yellow is standing beside them, well, not beside them, but in the back field behind them. Like, if you look up toward Colony House, the man in yellow is there. I totally missed that.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't see that either.
Which means that the man in yellow is not governed by the they only come at night. And he is 100% able to sort of mimic his way through whatever. This kind of goes back to, and forgive me for bringing up so many things, but this kind of goes back to, remember what Victor said when he said that the boy in white told him, you got to bury everybody, right? And if you can't bury them, at least bury something that belongs to them. Why? So they had a grave? Or maybe because the creatures that live in the dirt use that. Maybe they use that as, oh, okay, like, there's something to that. There's something to the what is happening with that. It otherwise there's a whole bunch of kind of big questions about where the creatures where do they even get their appearance from. Like, some things sort of, to me, sort of are like, okay, those things I think we'll actually get an answer to. Does that make sense? Like, there are some things that I think we can rest assured that we will get answers to. And then there are other things that I feel like the lore is it's going to be a big climb to get everybody to see what's going on. And especially people who are not used to the kind of storytelling that is this lore dense. If you are not used to this kind of storytelling, or if you're not used to people spoon feeding it to you, which is not a bad thing, don't get me wrong, passive entertainment is fine, but this is really active critical thinking, and it takes a lot to kind of figure stuff out. That didn't sound bad, did it?
No, it didn't.
Just
Not
not
at all.
bad. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I absolutely think that if the passive entertainment piece is, you think that by the end of season 5 we're gonna just suddenly know everything, I don't think that is what's going to happen. But I think we're going to get enough answers that we will be able to intelligently understand the grand design of this, right? So we might not know everything, but we're going to have a picture of the architecture. And I think that's probably the best that we can look for. I don't know. What do you think? Like, give me an idea. I've done a ton of talking here. Give me an idea of what you think is a theory or a idea. What do you think is happening here up to this point?
I'm gonna probably sound like an idiot.
You are not going to sound like an idiot. I can guarantee that.
Well, obviously there's a time loop aspect to this, and so it's like everything is happening over and over. And I don't know. I feel like they're gonna feel. I feel like they think that they can make it stop or do something to change the outcome, but maybe in the end you can't change it. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe they may even make you feel like they did at some point in the end, but then it just goes back to the loop. So I feel like that's kind of what's going on. They're on a collision course to their inevitability.
Do you think along those lines? Do you think that the show is setting up something that sort of exposes these little time pockets and the way that characters can walk across time in this story? Do you think that that's a part of it, or do you think that we are, or do you think the characters are just being shown things that have happened before? I mean, it's hard for me to see this as not a direct correlation because of the way Boyd walked out of the well house. And also Julie, who also walked out of the well house.
Oh, huh.
That's do you think that are the characters actively involved in time travel, or do you think that they're just being shown visions?
I think they're being shown visions. I don't know if they're actively being involved. I think it's more of that.
Okay. I mean, I think it's kind of like I can see almost a case for either of those things, but the reality is Boyd got the worms from somewhere. I mean, like, it lends me to think that if he isn't walking across time, he's walking across, again, perhaps he walked across somebody else's story, or he is able to, I don't know if the idea of having multi dimensions inside of one, but and like, I don't want to, I kind of almost don't even want to go there because I don't know if that's real, but Jade has spent so much of his time breaking this down almost on a quantum level that I hope that isn't just like another red herring for us to kind of chase after. But at the same time, it feels more like, no, they're definitely walking across time. Not that they are walking across time like they are time travelers. They are walking across story. As in, like, this was somebody else's story and they are story walkers. Does that make sense? I know that sounds kind of crazy, but
that is crazy.
That's every time I watch the show from beginning to so far, what I've seen, it gives me the feeling that story is so much. Even the titles of From's episodes are books and books of the Bible, Dr. Seuss books that are wasn't there one that was There and Back Again, or was that something else? They are all titles of either books or chapters of books. I mean, not everyone, but many of them. And it makes me think that this is the reason that we started out with the Matthews family, with Julie and Ethan telling the story of the Chromonocle and investing so much time in the telling of that story. So much of our time in that very beginning episodes, or in the very beginning season, was Ethan telling us all of his sort of ideas about who the players are in that story, what they can do, their magic powers. I mean, it kind of feels like, this is sort of the sacred text that everything is getting pulled from. And remember that Father Cautry actually told Sarah? Yeah, he told Sarah that He thinks that we're like basically living in a version of the Bible.
Yeah, he did.
So, I mean, that's another no matter how, whether you think of the Bible as being like the holy text or not, it's still story.
Right,
It
right.
was written by people. It is still story. So we are retelling as best we can, and that also feels super purposeful. Like maybe we're in another version of a Bible story. Like maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I have so many questions. I have more questions now than I had at any point in the From series. They're just enormous. There's just so many. I got to ask you one more question.
Sure.
In terms of character development, who do you think has made the most character progress, that has had the biggest arc? I'm not talking about, who you think has like suffered the most or experienced the most, or but really, like, you as a writer, you as a person who appreciates media, who do you think has had the biggest character arc?
Jade.
Yeah, I kind of think so too.
Jade for sure. Yeah. And can I be honest? I feel like
he has always annoyed me.
But I feel like he has one of the most interesting storylines on the show.
He does.
Because it really gets to the heart of what's going on more than anybody. Because a lot of people are just there existing. Whereas he's actually trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Him and Tabitha as well.
Right.
So their storylines tend to be the more interesting ones because they're following that path, So I would say Jade. He was very annoying. I mean, he's,
he still kind of is.
Yeah, but then I really want to know what's going on with him because of where he, it's interesting that they made him the conduit, to advance that part of the story,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at first I thought he was just an archetype, like, we're going to have this rich jerk. And, I didn't think he was going to live long on the show just because I felt like he was just like kind of like a person you put on, you put in an ensemble,
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out, no, he actually has a lot, he's very integral to the story. So, yeah, so it'll be interesting. Before we say goodbye on this, what are you looking for in season 4, particularly season 4? How far do you want the storyline? Will you be disappointed if the story doesn't get advanced very much and they kind of try to save it for the last season, or do you want a big jump? I feel like it has to. I hope this season ain't just filler for the final season.
Oh, I highly doubt that. I mean, I highly, highly doubt that. I don't think that's what's going to happen, first of all.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
I think that season 4 is going to end with a cataclysm. And then we will regroup after whatever said cataclysm is. Something biblical, something enormous is going to happen at the end of season 4. That's what I think. But how we get there, I think, has everything to do with the forbidden knowledge. The knowledge is basically, it comes at a cost. It's forbidden for a reason. So the more knowledge that they glean in season 4, the bigger the cataclysm that's going to happen at the end of season 4. That's my prediction. And the reason that I'm sort of going with that is because, one, we keep seeing that moniker everywhere about, how knowledge is dangerous and it comes at a cost. And 2, I don't think we could just pick up the story and have everything be kind of the way that it was in season 3 with the death of Jim. And also, I don't even know if, like I said, Boyd makes it out of season 4 intact. Maybe Boyd becomes the man in yellow. Maybe that's always been kind of his purpose. Like he was being groomed to be this. put him through enough terror and whatever. But if that's true, then he also will understand the architecture before anybody else does. So yeah, I don't know. But I absolutely think I'm looking forward to them figuring out more who everybody was in a past life, because if Jade and Tabitha have a past life, then everybody else there had a past life too.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that they can all be independent strands on this web. They all have to be interconnected. Like nothing happens by accident.
I'm looking forward to it. I feel bad for you because as soon as we say goodbye here, I'm going to watch the new episode.
well, to that end, what are you looking forward to the most in season 4?
The Man in Yellow. How much are we going to get?
Yeah.
How much we're going to get from him? Is he going to just be in the first couple of episodes? I know he's going to be in the first episode. Is he going to disappear for a while? Are we, how much we're going to get? And I'm really looking to see where they do with Boyd, and I got to say something. I've kind of said something similar to this before.
Mm-hmm.
When this show, the first season went through, I loved it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm so trained by past experiences with shows like this. And I looked and the ratings didn't seem to be that high. And I just thought they're probably going to cancel it. I was like, already, before I even knew anything, I was thinking like, we're probably not going to even get the whole story. I was just kind of like bummed. And then when they gave a second season, I was like, oh, this is great. And then they gave a third season. And then I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then what I've noticed is, and then I'm glad that we're going to have the complete, show, is it's really got a fan base. Like, when we first started, we would have to explain to people what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I have people coming up to me. I have family members who like, have you heard of this show called From? I was like, have I heard of it? And then I told them about our podcast, and then they, they get excited. But I have to say that this show, and then I see there's all these podcasts centered around it. There's
right
people. There were people who I know who done other shows but didn't do From, and then all of a sudden they're covering all the episodes leading up to, season 4 premiere. People, who I follow their movie and TV reviews, and now all of a sudden they're covering From, and it seems like people are really like gravitating to the show. I don't know if I haven't seen any of the actors promoting it. Have you seen any interviews from Harold?
I have. I have. Yes, I have seen 2. In fact, I did link you one. You go take a look at that one short one with Harold, who did a quick interview with somebody, and he kind of gave his best pitch for season 4 and answered a couple of interesting, albeit very nebulous answers to questions. So,
and I'm so happy for him because
me too.
He's a great actor for a while, and he's always like, he's a character actor, and he's always like to finally get a vehicle where he's the lead, he's the main hero. I'm so happy for him because he deserves that, because he's a fantastic actor with a great resume, and he's been great for so long in so many different roles. That I'm so glad that in this one he's not screaming because a bear is about to eat him. Yeah, if you've seen the movie The Edge, you know what I'm talking about. But no, I think I'm just, it's really awesome, and the show is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to season 4, and I'm looking forward hopefully tomorrow night we can or tomorrow after you see the episode and you're ready, we can start reviewing it on Sundays. And I'm really interested to get deeper into what's going on here.
Let's take a bet. Let's just take one quick bet at the beginning of the season. Okay. I think that spiders are going to play a huge part in this season. What do you think?
I agree, and cicadas as well.
Yeah, something is going on with the spiders. I don't know what, but something's going on with the spider. I keep seeing them too many times to think this isn't.
I can hear
Something's
David
going on.
Bowie in my head. You know,
I have arachnophobia. Like, I'm actually afraid of spiders. God forbid. I live in Hawaii. I can't believe I'm afraid of spiders. But I really have this like really intense feeling around spiders. And for that reason, it's going to be hard. No matter what happens here, it's going to be hard. Every time I see them,
I just fast forward it.
all right. Well, this has been great. I'm glad that we got to break down the first couple of seasons of the hit TV show From. I hope that you join us as we discuss each individual episode, hopefully on our weekly, on a weekly kind of schedule. And also let us know what you think is happening here. Theories, give us some kind of idea. Also, I have to say, one of the most endearing things that I saw was they call From fan groups the Fromily.
Yeah.
It's really cute. I thought it was really, really cute.
Fromily.
So we're all in this together. Let's see what happens with season 4. Kinte, how can we find you on social media?
You can get me on Instagram at Kinte Ferguson. That's KINTE FERGERSON at G. Sorry, at G. That's at Kinte Ferguson on Instagram. And how can they get you?
I'm sort of just bouncing around right now trying to figure out my social media profile, but hey, you can always find me here and on hopefully a whole bunch of podcasts that we've got scheduled for later this year. I'm excited about our lineup.
Oh yeah, this Wednesday coming up, we will be doing episode 1 of our spinoff show from our show pilot season. We're going to do the pilot season, the cartoon edition. So we'll be taking a look at TV show, cartoon TV show pilots. And our first episode that we're going to cover, first 2 episodes will be He-Man, because you know the He-Man movie's about to come out.
Yeah, I sure do.
And we're going to be doing the episode 1 of The Simpsons. Now this will be The Simpsons, the actual TV show. We're not going to start from the Tracy Ullman show. So
nice.
Yeah. So and then you know we have a lot of great shows that we're going to be doing. As far as we're going to do the regular pilot season as well, and horror flicks and chill. There's so many great horror flicks that we definitely need to talk about, and stuff that's about to come out as well. So
yeah, good stuff on the horizon.
Yeah. So with that said, catch you next time.
All right, everyone, have a good night, stay safe, and we'll see you on our next episode.